pleasant evening to one and all present. I'm Parishrut, and I'm the founder of GovernAI. Today, I'm present here to share something which is bit close to me. It's a personal experience and how it has unfolded to a certain gravity in my life. As we all human beings have a black screen in our pockets or in our sleep bags, and we do face it, and it probably tells us more than the real mirror which we see and knows more than we know ourselves. These black mirrors and these devices are such an integral part now of our life. It's more or less like a part of our own body. Today, I just want to synthesize this idea with each and every one of you that are we as a human being, do we still hold the agency of our own thoughts, of our own beliefs? And do we still have what it takes to charter our own plan and our own future? We all remember in our childhood, we used to play a video game called GTA. And in that GTA, if we remember that as of now, we all do have that innate feeling of being the main character of our own story, which is true. And in the same manner, in the video game also, there is a main character through which we interact with the virtual world, and you see the whole lobby, the whole virtual world of the video game is full of people, and those people have something which is pre-coded, pre-written. They have a script, they follow. If you steal their car, and just in the video game, I must say, then they will run after you, but then they will forget about it. They'll just keep walking like nothing happened. That is something which is labeled as NPCs, non-player characters, or if the connotation has to be followed, non-performing characters in a storyline. I believe that as the technology is getting so intertwined in our life, in our society, that we are getting on to the fringes of becoming a passive receiver or a passive user of technology. We don't have that much of a say. We don't control, we don't see what we are consuming, although we do certain make choices while setting the algorithm or being worried about the algorithm of the social media apps we use. Do we really think that we hold the agency of what the future holds for us and for what we can really do in this really evolving society where the technology is revamping itself like anything? I want to take each and every one of you back in the lane of time, back to Himachal Pradesh, to a boarding school where I just entered. And as I did mention to you that the GTA, the game, that was prior me going to the boarding school. The sun is glittering against the hills of a peak in Himachal. And as I wandered into the ground of my boarding school, I think, and I still keep the fleeting feeling in my head that where I am, what I am doing, I think I should have been playing the new video game which is already there, available on the desktops, on the PCs. And then as I got into the fine-tuned schedule of a boarding school, I got away from the technology. Like, even if I have to communicate anything, I have to write letters to my family. And as far as the computer interactions were concerned, or the technology which is being introduced into the society, we used to get into through the computer science lab periods, as we have already gone through in our respective schools. The funny thing is that when I entered into the boarding school's realm, before that, prior to that, I was schooled in a Hindi medium school. And when I entered into the realm of the boarding school, the first thing which was conveyed to me that you have to speak in English. And the very next thing which we happened with me was that we were taken to the mess and the dining area, and a question was posed in front of me: Are you a veg or a non-veg? And I was standing aloof. I was like, food, maybe. And then I said that, okay, veg. And when I was catered on the table where I was sitting, I was glad that I had some vegetarian food in front of me. But that was not the only struggle which I faced. Gelling up with the colleagues, with my peers, I had a bit of a tough time coming from a Hindi medium school, I could say. But then, how I improved myself was not because of me, it's because of my family, my teachers there, and my batchmates, and also my seniors. So, in 2 or 3 years, I picked up the language. And the beautiful thing of a boarding school, or of any school, I must say, is that it gives you space to generate your own mind, own faculty of your brain, to observe something and make a decision about it, to go about something. And same thing happened with me. I didn't have the leverage or the privilege of discussing anything which is happening around me with any close family member, I could say. But we used to discuss among us ourselves through banter and through addressing the issue at hand. Although, let's not get into the maturity which we had in order to address any issue of the nation or of the international matter. But one thing which led to the another and which revamped my own skills in the same school was that habit of writing. The first article which I wrote, was which faced a hard time getting it published into the school magazine, because it was a boarding school, which was a scenic school, and has its own aim and its own trajectory to how a student should get into the realm of a National Defense Academy or any armed forces is. And I think it does more than that, what happened with me, which I will be following up. The first article which I wrote was on world integration, erasing the boundaries. I know. And please pardon my flawed sense and flawed understanding of the geopolitics of the current times or even of that times. I was not sure about the saber rattle of the armed forces, but sooner or later I realized the value of sovereignty, the value of a country, and then one thing happened, which was the education system, the curriculum of our colleges, the curriculum of our schools. It really get to me that I happened to, in 11th standard onwards, I was just scrolling through, or you could say shuffling through the prospectus of Ivy League colleges. I was like, I really want to get there. But then I got to know that it's not possible due to one thing or another. Then I jot down my feelings. So you see, the art of writing has really been close to me. It was my way of showing what I really was feeling and just putting out there. It's not just mere a journal entry or a diary entry. It was proper articles, proper thought process, which I was trying to convey to anyone. And now, cut to 2022. Now, what happened that I've very freshly enrolled in a doctoral program where my doctoral research was on foreign policy, and it is still in the realm of geopolitics per se. But I was there on a topic of foreign policy and sustainable peace, or the tenets of peace, you could say. Very interesting thing happened that I got introduced to a tool, which was the late 2022. It was an AI tool. If I have to classify it further, it was a generative AI tool, which you can relate with the name of ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini. The tool of that time, when I got introduced to that, it was new in the market, and I was really and really impressed by the output it was giving me. If I have to ask anything about any scenario in the geopolitics, it was giving me the answers. If I wanted it to create anything, it was doing it for me. But the main issue which happened was not immediately when I started using it, obviously, but I was not sure of foreseeing how it could impact me and my skills. Because cut to again 2 months while using this tool, I was doing each and everything, whether it is like planning my day uh, or writing anything or even brainstorming any idea per se. And I was so hooked on it that I started pushing uh, to the deadlines and like procrastinating for my submissions. And as we know that if a human agency, human being has to do something, if I have to write in 700 word essay, I have to do its background review, or I have to dive into what the context is, what is the current happening, and what is the current knowledge base present to us. Through that only, but using AI tool. I was so hooked on it that I didn't think I was writing anything. And after 2 months, when there was a deadline, I have to submit my research paper or a essay for my coursework of my doctoral studies. I was just waiting for the deadline. It was, I think, 6 o'clock in the evening, and we have to mail it to our prof. I was just waiting. Okay, 5:30. I'll do it. I'll begin with it and just get done with it already before 6 o'clock struck. And the moment I was giving my input, as you know, it's a prompt, and I curated my prompt very beautifully that this has to be done. You have to think like that, persona, context, everything is done. The moment I pressed enter, something crazy happened. It said server down. And I was like, okay, I'll refresh the page. I'll again put my prompt again. 15 minutes into it, I was just struggling with it. And I thought like, okay, I think the AI is not yet here. And they have still few things to fix in the pipeline. But then I was like, I'll write by myself. I'll ask my prof to give me another hour. I'll cook up something. I'll jot it down. And then what happened that I started writing. So how I usually used to write is that I used to sit and map the key points of my essay or any article or a write-up I have to do, and then what content it goes and what is the relevant content already available or someone have already addressed it in their write-up or in their speech. The moment I was cooking up the first paragraph or the first section of my essay or the assignment, I, I was a bit struggling. And then I was like, it will come to me. I'll jump to the second paragraph. But it didn't. And something, I really started feeling something inside me. And I was like, I was someone who was so proud of one of my skill that I could write. If you ask me right now to write something about it, I could write. But at that moment, I thought that this has been taken away from me. And assignment which was supposed to be submitted, the deadline was least of my concern. I was staring back to that black mirror, the black screen, and having a reflection of myself and staring back into my eyes. And I only thought of one thing, that heavy reliance on this technology, this tool, robbed me of my skill, almost 80%, in just 2 months. And I took a step back and I thought that how I should contain my skill within myself, rather revamp it, and also keep using this tool. Although it was not my immediate thought, I had to process what I went through for a day or two. But then I talked to my prof and I talked to my peers and I talked to the other faculty members. And through all the social media, the people I was connected to globally, I think LinkedIn is something which lets us to be there. I asked very generic question that this is something which I experienced, how to go about it now. And they said me their own remedies, they told their own experiences, and I got to know that has started happening with people. Then I shifted as far as my doctoral studies concerned, I shifted my topic to AI governance, rather global AI governance developments and how it could promote sustainable peace in the society through mapping it through the Sustainable Development Goal 16, which we have, peace, justice, and strong institutions. But more than my epistemological journey, I was on to something. I was started looking the word responsible AI. Actually, it came to me. I thought I coined the word, but it was already there in the discourse. Then I got to understand what responsible AI is, how it could leave a huge impact in a human's life. And that's where I thought that I was about to lose my human agency on my skill, on my lifestyle, on my life, what I do with it, specifically with my time as well. So then I decided that I'll start with a journey or within myself first. And then I'll say to each and everyone present here that from my perspective and from my experience, what I want to give, that these AI tools, per se generative AI tools, are at our disposal. And I kid you not, the premium versions, the pro versions of these models are available through one channel or another channel, which is free of access, at least for a year. And how well we are going to be utilizing this 1 year of free access of these pro models, it depends on our human agency. And I would request each and everyone in the room present today that you have to think of one. You have to be very curious about what kind of tools or what kind of technological development is happening. I know you would say that that's not my career, that's not my professional journey I would want to go about. But you tell me one thing in the black device, black mirror, that mobile phones or laptops, I think they have right now an application, a tool for each and every walk of life. If that's the case, then irrespective of the journey you are going to be trudging to, you have to be dealing with the AI tools one way or another. So after you are being curious and aware about your surroundings, what kind of development is happening in the technology, we don't have to go that deep into it, but at least we should be aware. The second thing, what makes us human? We have to think through the lens of that. Select, utilize, and bring it into your practice any AI tool per se, I would say. But just think of yourself and don't do injustice to your own abilities, your own practice and own habit of skill building, which I think you have spent a lot of time, a lot of effort into that. The third is building something. So for me, how I got to know very a bit early in my life that what could be the impact of unsupervised and very heavily depending upon these AI tools, what kind of impact it could have on my life or on my career or on my skills. I still am using these AI tools, and I would tell you how. And that's the third aspect of what I'm trying to tell, how we can govern these kind of challenges and really make our human agency instrumental in making an impact in our life at first, I would say. So my skill set is a non-technical skill set. And in my day-to-day routine, I have to deal with imparting knowledge, which is already there, by few organizations talking about responsible AI, AI use in public sector, or AI use in education, or AI use in professional settings. And I have been an instrument, a catalyst in this, and later on, I look forward in this journey to check and balance the safety and the reliance of humans on this technology. How I have used these AI tools to be more than my skill set. I'm not a technical person, I can't code. But these AI tools have some options like Canvas, where you can design an app, you can design a website, or you can design something. On the same lines, what I did, that I take sessions for public civil servants of states of India. So when I started this, I used to go about this in a way of a PPT. I used to give, these are the organization, and they have thought through the impact of AI on humans, and these are the things for the public sector officials have to be aware about. But then these AI tools have been instrumental in me in doing my job a bit more impactful manner, is I created a simulator for any officer, for any person who would want to experience that the knowledge base they are building by themselves through me, how they can actually utilize it in the real world. And that's my example. If I have to come to each and everyone present here, and my message, which is reaching to whosoever is listening, if you really want to build something, if you really want to make an impact in what you do, irrespective of that it is AI related or not, I think you have to make a sound choice. And as I interact with few artists in fine arts, in visual arts, they say that we are not okay of using artificial intelligence as a tool. And I would say for each and every profession for that matter, it's your choice to use it or not. But at least I would request that you should be aware that what kind of tools are present in your field. Because from my understanding, as far as the topic of AI and jobs is concerned, I would say that AI, it is too soon to say that AI will replace all the jobs. But in your own field, whether it is a technical job, whether it is a non-technical job, whether it is creative field, the person who is aware of the right tool and the responsible approach of using that tool, that so that the person is not hampering his or her own skill set, that person will for sure is going to replace the other person who is aloof of any AI tool for that matter. The field and the AI tools which are present to us, or any field which we are walking through to make a living or to make a mark on the world. I would say artificial intelligence at the end of the day is part of a bigger picture, bigger technologies which our humans have given to our humanity. It's just a technology. I would suggest that we treat it as a tool and take a sound and informed step towards becoming architect of our own future and not just a NPC, or I would say a passive user, a receiver of this technology. I hope that the idea which I wanted to share with each and every one of you has reached, and I'm talking to each and every person who is listening to this message of mine. We as human has a huge power and a huge capability to make an impact. It's not always about coming on the screens. It's not always making it to the newspapers. It's about balancing things in life. You balance the AI tool which you use, you balance your job with your personal life, you balance the humanity with the kind of technology we have today. That's all from my side. Thank you.